Yeah, since we got started, camp overall has gone really well. As a team, being able to get the install in with each unit has gone pretty smooth. It's really starting to pick up. So the pace of what we're doing, as far as our drill work and as far as our coverages is. With the kickers and punters and snappers, these guys have done a great job. It's been awesome working with them. They've all their consistency, is improving as we go on each day. We don't have Ben on here. Ben's really flourished a lot. He's doing really, really well. Obviously, Chase and Damon are staples. They're just solid as can be. So you don't have anything to worry about with those guys. And overall, we're getting guys on the roster in each unit, getting them positioned where they can be successful. That's really taken shape. I've been really impressed. The effort's been great. The attention the players have had with what we're doing and what we're trying to do. They want to be great at what they're doing, and so that's half the battle right there. So I feel like we're moving in the right direction. It'd been nice to have spring ball. It'd been nice to have more time to get things going and get the timing down a little bit better. And timing with some of the stuff is just going to take time. But we are. I think right now guys are getting it, and it's starting to sync up.
Okay, we'll take questions. So again, please raise your hand, and we'll call on you. Okay, we'll start with Ryan Young.
Sean, how much have you had to simplify or minimize what you're putting in based on the lack of time you've had with the guys, or have you been able to do everything you want to do in terms of all your special teams?
Yeah, no, we're there's not, and I've kind of said it before. A lot of the stuff in special teams I try to keep pretty simple, and for a variety of different reasons. I want to be fundamentally sound. I want us to be able to go out there and execute at a fast pace and a high level. I don't want guys to have to over-process and overthink things. And again, you got starters that they're focused on opponents, or focused on their position. We're installing a new defense. There's a lot of stuff going on right now through these guys' heads, and so I've kept it pretty basic. There's things that will go in, and I'll start going in this week. We're game planning and getting things set for Arizona State, obviously, and the process of where we're at is being able to get down, how to practice, what fundamentals we're trying to do, how we're stepping, how we're punching, and then the scheme of what we're trying to do, and then now we're getting those game plans in, so that we're able to move forward with a couple of different variations of what we're doing. But it's not asking the players to do a lot of different stuff, and so there's a lot of teams that will go out and every week will have a completely different scheme of what they're trying to do. My goal is to be able to bend and mold what we're doing to the teams that we're playing against, and keep the players in a position to where every day they're doing the same thing. They're just getting better and better and better at it as we go on. So to answer your question, yeah, we're keeping it fairly basic right now. There's a lot of things that will go in through the course of the season that will give some variations of what we're doing. But at the end of the day, their responsibilities are going to be very similar to what they're asked to do each and every day. And so, that's fundamentally, we just want to get better.
And have you settled on your specialist yet, punt and kick return?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Have you decided on your specialist yet, your return specialist?
No, we're still sorting through that. Amon Ra's been a staple back there and phenomenal. He's doing great. OG's has been doing a really good back there as well. Tyler Bonds, Stephen Carr, those guys have been doing really, really good. We're trying to get them sorted through to where we got the best combinations back there, is really what we're trying to sort through right now. That'll come here pretty quick, and then we'll roll with it. And then if we have to make adjustments, we'll make adjustments.
Okay, we'll go to Adam Grossbart.
Hey, Sean, thanks for doing this.
Oh, you bet.
Given the the separate practices happening at the same time, I was curious just how that impacts either how much you're able to work on special teams. Is it more or less than you would have expected under like normal circumstances?
Well, I guess let's put it this way. I've been able to challenge myself in creativity, which I haven't had to do like this for my entire career. But no, it's been interesting. We started off and we were separated offense, defense, and so defensively, because that unit takes up majority of special teams. So what we did is we basically were able to install units that I would have mostly special team or mostly defensive guys on. So a kickoff, a punt return. So we put those things in, and I positioned guys where they would, at the end of the day, if they were on the unit, where they would wind up being. And so we were able to get the just kind of here's what the scheme is, here's what it looks like, and go through that. Did the same thing with offense. Numbers were different because I'm using more defensive players offensively, wide receivers, running backs, tight ends primarily. We focused a little bit more on punt, kickoff, return with the offensive side of the ball. So we were able to get some stuff in there, but it's kind of like putting a skeleton in, and then you had to put it all together. And so there was some retention that came out of it, which was good. So it wasn't like we were starting from scratch when we were able to come together as a team. But it has been, it has been just because the fact we hadn't done any, we've had some meetings and haven't had it on the field and haven't had walkthroughs with it. And so once we got everybody all together, and like I said, the timing and getting them synced in together and working together, it's taken a little bit of time, but I was real pleased with practice yesterday. We had a really good run at it. We got through everything that I planned on getting through. The players were, they're just adjusting to it really well. So I was pretty pleased with yesterday's practice.
Chase, Damon, just what have this, unconventional experience been like from your perspective?
I'd say the team has been more united. We've kind of had that feeling of not being able to be very unpredictable off season. So everyone's been out there and we feel more united because everyone appreciates the game a little bit more. And we're just kind of excited to get the ball rolling here in a couple weeks. And I feel like we're just a more close-knit, more united team.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with what Damon's saying. Like, we were separated for such a long time, and offense, defense, special teams were kind of in our own little bubbles for a little while. So now kind of being able to get back together with everybody, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, we feel way more close-knit.
Okay, we'll go to Ryan Karchi.
Thanks for doing this, guys. For Chase and Damon, I guess what was your quarantine like, especially given the skills you guys have to practice? I know I imagine with Chase, you probably had to find somewhere to kick. Like how did all of that work, just trying to practice long snapping or kicking?
Yeah, I actually got kicked off a few fields trying to practice during the quarantine. So like stuff like that would happen, and you just got to kind of like work through it. You just go out every day, and then maybe you get kicked off one day, and maybe have an uninterrupted day. So it was just kind of like that, just finding work where you could get it.
Yeah, I think with snapping, you don't really need a field goal post like Chase would. So me and my dad got really creative. We tied a tire to a tree branch, and I would snap through that like a quarterback would. So I just had to find ways to find targets. And then when it came to like training, had to go to friend's house, relative's house to get my training in, but just had to be creative over the time. I'm sure the whole team had to do the same. But yeah, it was definitely an adjustment, not having all the resources there to get ready like a normal off season.
Chase, were you just like kicking in the dark of night? Were you trying to be inconspicuous about how you were sneaking onto these fields, or?
I was going to the local field by my house, and most of the time it was fine. But then a few times, I guess someone would make a call, and then it's just me on the field, and then I would have to go home after that when I got told not to be there.
All right, Mark Culkin, you're up.
Good morning, guys. Damon, maybe you can let us know, when was the last time you had a bad snap? I mean, what's it like walking around being perfect? Can you talk about that? And then also, Chase, how does that affect you, knowing that your timing is always going to be perfect because the snap is going to be there? Can you talk about that?
Well, I don't think everyone's perfect. I feel like I've done a really good job of being consistent for Chase. I always say that if he's having a good year, I like to take credit for it. I've had some games where I'm not pleased with myself, and with long snapping, you don't really want to be in that limelight of being mentioned. I've been told that my whole career, basically. So I think I've done a pretty good job at that. I do think there are games that I would like to have back, but luckily it hasn't been that much of a notice. So,
Do you remember the last time you actually had a bad snap that sailed over the head or bounced?
I've had my freshman year at Washington State. I was not a game I'd like to relive. Wouldn't like to go back to that game. But yeah, that was kind of my only game I'd really say that was something I would say was imperfect. So.
Chase, and how does that affect your confidence, with the timing?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's everything. I mean, since 2017, Damon, I don't remember you ever giving me a bad snap on a field goal or anything. You've been nothing but perfect, man. Like, honestly, that makes the world of difference. Like, my job is so much easier because every single time I go out there, I know that the snap hold will be there. Like, I don't have to worry about it, and all I need to do is just focus on my job. So yeah, I mean, it's a really big help to have that consistency with Damon.
And Damon, did they give you the game ball when you recovered the fumble last year?
No, but I got some good recognition for that.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Eric McKinney.
Coach, do you have a sense of just how different what you're asking special teams units to do this year is compared to maybe what they've done in the past?
I came into this and I didn't really look in the rearview mirror, to be honest with you. And so what I've done is I've come out and tried to just install what I like to see and what I like to do. And I've had great conversations with players about the expectations of what we're trying to get to. I didn't want to have any preconceived notions of what any of the players in the past have done. I wanted to build it from scratch and give everybody an opportunity, and I didn't want to have anything in my mind that said, okay, well, this guy can't do it without giving him a chance. And so that's, I came in, and in all honesty, I mean, I've watched a little bit of last year's film, but not very much. It is, I just wanted everybody to have a fresh start, and be able to respond to, the coaching that we're doing, myself and the other coaches that are helping out with each unit. Coach Nivar has been a special teams coordinator as well. And he and I sit down and, we compare notes and kind of evaluate what we're doing. And, it is, I'm pretty open-minded with things. I'm not completely stuck in my ways with everything. And so, I look for freshness, and I look for things that can better what we're doing. And it changes from place to place. I've been very fortunate to be at one place for my entire career. And so this opportunity has been unbelievable. And I wanted to come in with a fresh start with the players and give them a fresh start as well. And so in all honesty, what was done in the past, it was a different coaching style, and that was fine. Everybody has their own coaching style. But I didn't want to bring in anything that wasn't me. And so that's kind of how I've approached it. And
then you mentioned obviously the kickers, punters, return guys. Is there anybody kind of in coverage or blocking or any kind of those like special teams guys that have stood out to you outside of the specialists?
Boy, there's been a bunch. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are really started to kind of come into it. Isaiah Talanoa have been really good. Jaden Williams has been really good. Ray Scott here of late, another guy just down that's really popped up and done some good things. Brew McCoy, Drake London, John Jackson. Just to say a few that have really started to kind of surface. And there's more. I mean, I'm missing guys. There's quite a few guys that have really stepped up and a lot of it for them is getting to the point of not having to, I'm not trying to think about what scheme we're trying to do. I'm not trying to think about what block I have, or I'm not trying to think about who I'm trying to avoid. And now they're to the point now where they're just starting to play fast and they're starting to, okay, we know what we're doing now. We just got to get there and make it happen. So as we go through this process, there's going to be more guys too that things are going to start to click for them, and then it becomes the speed and the pace of what we're trying to do just becomes better and better and better. And so there's going to be more guys. I mean, there's going to be a lot of guys that stand up. This is a very talented team.
Okay, shotgun.
Hey, Sean, what's your philosophy on using starters on special teams units? And have you had to adapt that at all with the potential of COVID and, the restrictions that you may end up having with the roster limits and stuff?
Yeah, no, Coach Helton's been great, and all the coaches have been great. I mean, it's everybody's available. So I have a limit. I don't want to put starters on more than 2 units. So I try to restrict it to that. But at the end of the day, and the guys that are out there that are on these units, if starters are out there and going, that's great. I need guys and want guys that are going to pay attention. They're going to focus on, getting some film work in, watching a little bit of special teams. They don't need to watch a ton, but they need to be aware of what's going on and see it. And I've been real pleased with this group. So the guys that are starters that have been on there, I expect that they're going to do that and be attentive to it. And in all reality, there's only so much time in the day that those guys that are starters have, because they're watching the opponent film for what they're doing at their position and staying focused on learning. And like I said, right now that our defensive guys, they're all learning a new system, and so I've got to be conscious of that, and I've got to allow that process to take place. So I've always used starters. I'm not married to a starter, a second stringer, or a third stringer. I'm just going to put the best guy out there that's getting the job done the best way. And if it happens to be a second string guy or a third string guy on their position, so be it. I mean, that's I've had some units where I haven't had a starter on it, and so the guys that are out there that study, that pay attention, know what's going on, and can play fast, that's who's going to be on the field.
And from watching college football so far this season, special teams has swung a number of games. It seems even more important this year. Do you see any changes with kind of the play of special teams and the preparation that has gone into it this year?
Well, yeah, I mean, the special teams has made some big impacts around at games, but coming from Kansas State, one of the things that was always a big swing for us was special teams. And so my mentality is based on the fact that special teams has to be a part of the game. I mean, it has to be something that's going to be make a big play, do some big things and do some great things. And so, I mean, that's kind of the thing that I've always been accustomed to. And I know there's teams where, special teams is more so about let's get the ball back to the offense, let's not screw anything up. But that's not how I've been over the course of time, or how we've been at Kansas State while we were there, because, that special teams was a difference for us in many, many games, playing the Oklahomas and the Texases and whoever else we're playing, Oklahoma States. I mean, when we were in those games, I mean, if we didn't have a big play on special teams, a lot of the times we weren't able to get over the hump. And so obviously when the offense is rolling, defense is rolling, special teams a lot of times has less impact in a game. But whenever there's a stagnant side of the ball, you need something out of special teams to be great. And so, my mentality going into it is I think that's every game there should be something. We should be able to have a big spark in the game to to be able to trigger a big play.
Okay, let's go to Keely.
Hey, Sean, you mentioned that Ben was improving. Where specifically is he improving, and what are you expecting from him this year?
Oh, Ben's got such an upside as far as potential and what he can do. I mean, the biggest thing was just the consistency. So, I mean, basically, we need good hang times. We need great hang times. We want good distance. Don't want to out punt our coverage. And so getting the control, the directional punting as well. Those are the things that when I first saw Ben and. I mean, like I say, he's a great talent, but it was just a little bit inconsistent what he was doing. So we cleaned up a little bit of footwork, cleaned up his drop a little bit, and now, he's, 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 hitting a good ball. And so, that's what we're trying to get to is that we don't have, when we're on the field, we're getting a ball that we can cover every time. That's the goal. That's the objective. And not get into what I always kind of gauge things by is the miss hits. If we're going to have a miss hit, where is that miss hit going to be? Is it one that's going to put us in danger, as far as coverage, or is it going to be one that we can still cover with the miss hit and not be at risk? So he's really doing well right now, and I've been very, very pleased. I think his, what he has potential to do this year is unlimited.
Okay, back to Mark Culkin.
Hey, Chase and Damon, can you kind of walk us through your daily grind during a practice? In other words, Chase, how many kicks do you put on your leg on a day? And Damon, how many times do you snap on the ball? Because you guys are, kind of off by yourselves most of the time.
Yeah. So we get out there around an hour early to warm up, and then we'll hit few kicks, and so from there, after usually we'll do like a 25-minute before we kick warm up, and then from there probably 30 minutes of kicking before practice for me, and then once we get into it, we'll have field goal period, and then throughout practice just kicking, I like to keep my reps low so I'm not over kicking, staying healthy.
Yeah, so kind of like what Chase said, we go out early. We get a warm up in, like a more dynamic warm up, and then we kind of all divide up. So punters will do their steps, kickers will get warm, and then the snappers will go off and do our own thing. We kind of take about 20 minutes to all get warm, and then we come together and we'll do full snap, hold, kick. We'll do that for a certain amount of time, and then I'll go off with the punters, and then we'll do some punting to returners. And then from that point, usually practice starts, and then usually it's field goal or some type of special teams in the beginning. We'll do that in the beginning of practice, and then we kind of have a little bit of a down period. So we'll have usually about 8 periods where we don't do much. So we'll go off into another field, kind of just get out of the way wherever we can, and then we'll get our own stuff in. Usually coach is there so we can work on, whatever we need to work on with him, more of a one-on-one time. And then we'll come back at the end of practice for some more special teams. And then that's about it.
And coach, do you ever, sit down with the guys and ask for their input on maybe game planning?
Oh yeah. Matter of fact, I just met with a handful of players last night, and one of the things that's pretty tough in this, where we're at and what our restrictions are is, I'm still doing, some of the meetings are still through Zoom, so we're still kind of trying to sort through that a little bit. But, at the end of the day, I will bring in players and visit with a lot of players, as far as what we're doing. Typically on a regular game week, when we get started, we'll install stuff starting Monday. By Thursday, typically what I'll do is, now the guys have had a chance to watch film, feel what we're doing, get a good feel for it, and then I'll bring guys in and sit down with them and have discussions on, okay, what are you seeing, or with what we're doing, how do you see that that's fitting up with what we're trying to get to, what our expectation is, and get a feel for what their take is. I think that communication is huge. I think it's important. And then plus, if a player is able to come in and come up with one thing that I haven't seen or two things that I haven't seen, I mean, that's awesome, because now I still got time to make sure that everybody, okay, hey, here's one more thing to look at, to be alert for. And then on the other side of that too, is I want the players to have ownership in what we're doing. I mean, this isn't, it's their team and they're the guys that got to get out on the field and perform and do it. So I want them to be involved in it. And I want them to be involved in watching practice. I want them to be involved in watching game film, so that, again, we, towards the end of the week, we come together and everybody feels good. I feel good. They feel good, going into a game. And so I think it's really important to have players involved.